it's super cool that you do this stuff with endangered languages where you are, right? So tell me a bit about the project that you're working on at the moment.
So I speak Tibetan, and there are a lot of Tibetic languages that are highly endangered. And I have a lot of friends who are from a region called Dolpo. It's a very isolated region of Nepal. It's like most of the villages are at least 3 days walking to
Wow.
get to. And there's only about 40,000 speakers of the Dolpo language. So, working with some Tibetan friends and some Dolpo friends, we made this little children's book which
Uh-huh.
is bilingual in Dolpo and English, about a baby yak who goes on a picnic with the family. And so it's got counting, it has the numbers written in the traditional script. And then at the same time, it just has these really adorable illustrations because baby yak keeps getting into trouble whenever he's
Hmm.
trying to help out, of course. And what we want is for people to, literacy is a huge issue in some of these areas, and
Hmm.
the literacy that's being brought in is Nepali, which again is great for a lot of things, but we want people to have their own languages too. And I want kids to have the same experience I had growing up of sitting with mom and dad or your big brother and saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, I want a bedtime story." And so we made this, but the really cool thing that I'm most excited about with this is we made this in a specific format so
Hmm.
that we can remove this and put any other language in. And so we're planning on doing at least five endangered Himalayan Tibetic languages. Currently, we're planning on Pamang, Sherpa, Mukum, and Baragong. Plus, we have, of course, Tibetan, and we've already done Dolpo. So I guess that's six. And again, all we have to do is just remove this and put that in, and we're ready to print and distribute. And so we're currently working to distribute this to
Wow.
700 families in Dolpa
Okay.
for free, 700 families
Wow.
with school-age children. And then in the future, we're hoping to do more projects where we distribute to Tamang families, Sherpa families, Barabong families, you name it. It's just a really cool and exciting project, in my opinion. And it just
It,
makes me happy to work on this.
that's so cool. So, I mean, let me get this right. These are languages that people are speaking in their families, but whenever they're outside of the
Yes.
house, like at school or somewhere else, they're using Nepali.
So they probably use these languages with their community,
Okay.
but in school, they are primarily going to be taught Nepali. Some schools are bilingual, a lot of schools are not. And Nepali
Right.
absolutely takes precedence because unfortunately, there's not sort of a market value to these. You
Hmm.
can't go to university with this language, you can't get
Right.
a degree with this language. So there is a strong concern that we're going to have children who sure, they can speak to their parents, but can they speak to their grandparents?
Hmm. So for a lot of these kids, then might even be the first thing that they've seen written in their language.
Other than religious texts, which are probably written actually in Tibetan, not Dolpa, yes, almost certainly. And as far as I understand, this is the only children's book, I believe, in Dolpa language so far.
Wow.
Um, and unfortunately, I think if there are any other texts, they're either in Tibetan, not Dolpa, or they are from missionaries
Oh
and have
wow.
very specific purposes.
Oh wow.
Which this has no politics, no religion, no nothing, just pure culture. Any family can use it because we have cultural and religious diversity there, and we want every family to feel comfortable with this book.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just trying to imagine how that would feel, speaking a language at home, and then for the first time seeing a children's book aimed at your age group. How exciting that would be to kind of be
I'm
for,
really hoping
I imagine for the adults actually, might even be more exciting because
it might be more. Yeah, the kids might be like, oh, it's just another book. The parents are probably going to freak out though.
but it's really cool. And you can talk about it then. You've got kind of a tool to talk about more things. Because I think in a home environment as well, if you're just talking about like food and what you're going to do and what time you're going to bed and things like that, the
Yeah.
vocabulary in what you're talking about is quite limited. Whereas if you have books, you actually can talk about different things or ideas or concepts that maybe are not within the norms of what you talk about at home.
And I'm also really hoping that maybe some Dolpa people will see this and say, well, I've always wanted to write a children's book and I've never done it. And maybe you reach out to us and we'll support them in writing that children's book, or maybe they'll just write it on their own. But we're hoping it's a first small drop in the bucket.
So Amalia, if people want to support you in doing this, what do they need to do?
So currently there is a GoFundMe.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can put the link somewhere.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
But another way is you can go to www.alatala.org. That's ALATALA.org.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go under current initiatives, you'll see free Himalayan language book distribution, and there will be a link to the GoFundMe there.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you for giving me a chance to talk about this. I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to having the full interview with you. And when you mentioned this book, it's just such a cool idea. And I think it fits in really well with the ethos and what we stand for at the Polyglot Conference. So it's something that's very close to my heart as well. So if we can help and we can get you to that number that you need. I mean, we're not talking about loads of money.
It costs about $1.50, gets a book printed and shipped up to location.
Perfect.
When I showed this to my dad, I asked him, what does this remind you of? Because I showed him, like, we've got the 2 yaks making momos and one baby yak is hungry. And you can see he's stealing the dumpling called a momo off the plate. And my dad suddenly looks, he goes, when you were a kid, didn't you have that book, Charlie Needs a New Cloak? I'm like, yes, this is a Himalayan version of Charlie Needs a New Cloak. Absolutely inspired by my favorite childhood book that I begged him to read me every night.
Perfect. Well, I mean, what better way of creating something for other people to enjoy as well, and something that's a fun memory for you. I think that's a great idea.
And I hope people are interested because, like I said, there are so many endangered Himalayan languages, and we really want to put this into as many as we can. So while we're less than $500 away from our goal on this book, in the future, and I don't know how many months away it'll be, there's going to be a new initiative for the Tamang version, a new initiative for the Sherpa version, because we just do one at a time so that we don't overwhelm ourselves and fail.
Yeah, absolutely. No, a bit at a time is the way we kind of get there with these types of initiatives and projects. So yeah, I mean, good luck with it. And absolutely, if anyone's watching and they want to help donate, please click on the links.
Please do.